All right. So,
What? What was that noise? There was like a cave noise that was just produced by someone.
I think it was you, Noah.
I didn't hear it. Anyway,
Roll the intro. Are you ready for that?
All
Do
right.
it.
Who wants to introduce the? Or I guess I could. So Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome was directed by George Miller and George Ogilvy, not to be confused with Comrade Ogilvy from 1984, different person. And Ogilvy was brought on the project after Miller's producer and friend Byron Kennedy died during filming. You know, obviously George was like really depressed at the time. You know, I heard that
He apparently wanted to just give up the project entirely.
Yeah.
Dang.
I
Would have been unfortunate.
I also heard that was it Miller that directed the action scenes and Ogilvy directed the dramatic scenes, or was it the other way around?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was Miller did all the action stuff.
Which is quite apparent in the different tone of Beyond Thunderdome.
Yeah, they went for a different tone with this one, going for like more of a mainstream feel.
By the way, we're talking about Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, the third.
And Morris.
This is
They also
the weird
have Tina
one in the
Turner
series.
starring in this, and she contributed to the soundtrack. We Don't Need
I do
Another
not
Hero, and One of the Living. Those are
Wait, in the intro?
One of the
right?
Living is the song that
Yeah.
plays at the beginning.
Ah, yes.
And I do like the music in this film. I will admit that. I do like the music. The film. And Gene Siskel called it the greatest movie
The music's
ever
pretty
made.
good throughout,
It
I
Gene
would
is.
say.
Siskel called it the greatest movie ever made with the word Thunderdome in the title. That was a joke. Right?
Now, I read something interesting about this film that I think before, we began going too deep into it, I can definitely see. Apparently, the movie was not supposed to be a Mad
I heard
Max
that
film
too.
at first.
Lord of
But
the
it was supposed to be
Flies,
more of
yeah.
a Lord of the Flies
Flies.
style movie about, a tribe of children who are found in the desert wastelands. And so eventually George Miller suggested that it could be Max at the main, because Mel Gibson was casted as the main character. And then George Miller was like, that could be Max doing all of this. And then
like,
it became a
just-
Mad Max film.
Just gonna make it Mad Max. Yeah, there we go.
Well, even then, there's only one reference to Max's name throughout the entire thing. When it gets picked up by the blaster, and, the master's asking him, he's like, me, master. Max responds with me, Max.
yeah.
And that's
Like,
the only time
Die
we
Hard
hear
with a
his
Vengeance.
name.
That was supposed to be a Lethal Weapon sequel originally. Yeah.
Really?
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 Dang.
And Die Hard was supposed to star, among other people, Arnold Schwarzenegger and fucking Sylvester Stallone.
That would have been a
Yeah.
much different movie. Holy crap. I kind of want
And
to see
Beverly
that
Hills
version of
Cop
the movie
was
now.
Also written as a Sylvester Stallone vehicle before they got Eddie Murphy.
Huh.
Now that would have been something. Dang.
Oh, I'm Axel Foley.
Alright, so Mad Max 3, Beyond Thunderdome. Now, of course, we have to make the Mystery
Yeah,
Science
can we
Theater
just get
joke.
beyond Thunderdome?
Now, at some point in your life, in conversation with another person, you will be faced with the word Thunderdome, to which there is only one appropriate response. Come on, guys. Can't we just get beyond Thunderdome? There you go. I've used it. It was a totally artificial situation, which I asked for, but I've done it.
So, yeah, one thing I was confused about is they have the guy who played the Gyro Captain in Road Warrior also playing a sort of pilot character in this, but he's a different character.
Yep.
I was super confused because, this is my first time watching this movie. I was so confused by that. I was
Yeah.
like, this looks and sounds like the
It
same
is
guy,
the same,
but he's
actor,
acting like he
too.
doesn't know Max at all.
Yep. Same actor, same everything. He kind of even has the same mannerisms. I
Yeah.
mean, you're in the wasteland. What else are you gonna do? I suppose. But yeah, he flies he flies an aircraft,
Yeah.
and he's played by the exact same guy.
See, at first I thought that the kid he has was the kid with the girl from the end of the Road Warrior.
Yeah. Which, if you've seen the
So-
Road Warrior, completely makes
What I
sense in
was
your mind,
hoping-
and then he's
what
just
I was
unrelated.
hoping was that it would be revealed that the pilot had amnesia, and then towards the end he like finally recognizes Max and says "Patna" or something like that.
Partner?
Yeah, I
Yeah, that
would've-
would
I
have been
would've
good.
liked
That would have
that.
been a good touch.
But yeah,
I-
I will start with some of the positives I have for this. I do like the sets in this, especially the
sets are pretty
they're
great.
great.
And I do like the fight in the Thunderdome. How they're just like swinging around and shit, and one of them has a chainsaw. That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
And Master Blaster. Is it
a crazy way to
Master
fight.
Blaster? Is his name? Is that right?
Master Blaster.
Yeah. Master is the short one that does all the thinking,
Yeah.
and Blaster is the big one that does all the fighting.
And he is pitted in a fight.
Yeah, and
Max, that is.
'cause I
is
always
pitted in a
get,
fight
like-
in the Thunderdome.
Because there's a
against him.
NES game called Blaster Master, so
Yeah.
which I
Blaster
think
Master.
came out
Blaster
before this
Master.
movie.
Good
but,
game.
You know. And something I wondered is like, you know, there's like those scenes with like all the pigs like underground and stuff. I was wondering if that inspired George Miller to do the Babe movies. Which I can only imagine. I can only
That'd be
imagine
pretty
what a
funny.
crossover with those movies would be like.
Mad Max X
Yeah.
Babe.
Or
What the hell?
Yeah, it's the same director, yeah. So yeah, and the same director of Happy Feet. And
Yeah.
you know, all these machines and
It's
stuff.
really,
Yeah.
he's got a very varied resume.
What are some more positives about
Like
Beyond
all the machines and
Thunderdome?
stuff in it. That kind of made me think of like there's that Charlie Chaplin film, Modern Times. You know, he like gets caught in the machinery and spins around and shit. That's a really good movie.
Yeah.
There are some memorable lines in this. You know, 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. You know,
And
dying
leaves.
times here.
See, there. There's one character in this. He's a fairly minor character, but I just absolutely love him. It's the Thunderdome announcer, Dr. Dealgood.
Oh yes.
All of his lines are spectacular.
He's like a game show host very much, and that is
Exactly.
an interesting bit about Beyond Thunderdome is that the structure of Bartertown, the town in which the Thunderdome resides, is very much a sort of game showy, like reality
Yeah.
TV, like
Yeah.
80s reality TV style hierarchy, like social.
They like have
structure.
that wheel that they spin. You know, like in Wheel of Fortune or.
Yeah, the Wheel of
Torture.
Fortune.
Bust a deal,
Yeah.
face the wheel.
It is
I was
actually
wondering if,
just
like,
called
Max would,
the
like-
Wheel of
I wonder if
Fortune.
Max like. I was wondering if Max was gonna like land on bankrupt or something. You know? But instead,
Yeah.
he like lands on
Speaking of-
log or something, and they send him to the Soviet
Yeah.
Union. Obviously,
Send him to the Soviet Union.
I would actually like to talk about the wheel because I have a list of all the stuff that is on the wheel.
Thank you.
So there's death. That one's
it's
pretty
not.
obvious. There's hard labor. There's hard labor. That one you can assume that it's going to be
That
hard
sounds more
labor
like
of some sort.
gulag than the actual-
Acquittal.
Oh, acquittal. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's acquittal. That's, you just get off scot-free, get to leave. There's gulag, which is what happens to Max, where they put on a weird, like, character, just the head on him.
Yeah, they put him on a horse and sent him into the
Like
desert.
Skula.
Yeah. There's Auntie's
Yeah.
Choice.
Oh god, I wonder what would happen if they landed on that.
Yeah, so that would just be Auntie gets to choose. There's Spin Again, which I find to be absolutely hilarious.
Oh yeah.
That they would have that as an
Wait,
option
what
on
was
the
after
wheel.
spin again?
Forfeit. After Spin Again is
Okay.
forfeit goods. So that's just they take whatever Max has.
Which, that's another thing. Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
How the fuck
Underworld-
does he have that many guns just as in
Yeah.
his jacket? Like, what the hell?
Oh, he just like puts all of his yeah.
What the
He's
hell?
like
Yeah.
he comes into Bartertown and he's just loaded to the teeth. He has like 15 guns on his person and like 5 knives and like an axe or something like that.
That reminds me of that scene
Yeah.
in Blues Brothers.
Definitely see a bit of progression
Reminds me
in
of the
him.
scene in Blues Brothers where they give John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd all their stuff back after they've been in prison for a long time.
Yeah.
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 So then there's Underworld.
Underworld.
I don't even know what that would begin to entail. It might just be the pit of pigs, like they just throw them in there, but
It's
Or-
I believe
or
it's
they get-
it's your sentence to life to
Or
work
they
in
get to see
Underworld.
Hades.
Send you to
really is
hell.
bad. Then there's Amputation. That's probably one of the worst
What was
ones,
that
considering what the world is like right now.
What was that?
And then the final one is just life imprisonment.
I'm sorry, I missed
Yes.
the one before. No, I missed
Life
the one before
imprisonment.
Life imprisonment. The mic keeps cutting out.
Mm.
So I missed the one before. What was the one before life imprisonment? Oh, God.
Amputation. Yeah, that one would be bad.
Not a
They
good deal.
probably have horrible doctors there.
Oh, would you say we get into the plot of Beyond Thunderdome?
Do it.
All right. So, Beyond Thunderdome starts out with no opening narration this time. It just says Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome black screen has a Tina Turner song,
Yeah, Tina
which is a
Turner
very
song.
interesting choice. It just kind of hits you right out
Yeah.
of nowhere, but it's fitting for this film, and I like it.
I do like the soundtrack. I will admit that.
It is quite good, yes. Then there's a classic aerial shot of what you got from the Road Warrior intro. It comes down, you see this like speck of dust on the desert floor, and it zooms in and you find it's Max with a sort of carriage type of vehicle that he has crafted over the years, being drawn by 6 camels, I believe it is. 6. And then it opens with the guy who plays the gyro captain, not the gyro captain. He flies in with a small plane, drops his son in on him, like knocks out Max. Or no, the gyro captain, not gyro captain guy. We'll just call him the pilot.
Yeah.
He drops in, gets the drop on Max, steals his vehicle, and they fly back to Bartertown to sell it. So then Max follows him to Bartertown, which is sort of a civilization in this wasteland where people come to trade and whatnot. And then he stirs up some trouble and gets in contact with their leader, Auntie, and she basically says, in exchange for 24 hours of your life, you can get back your vehicle and camels. And so he accepts the deal, and he is made to fight this duo, Master Blaster, which we
Yeah.
discussed, and he is made to fight him in Thunderdome. And so they go in Thunderdome. It's a big metal cage, a sort of semi-sphere, and you have these cables, these
Yeah.
elastic cables that you're attached to,
bungee
and
cords
you
a little
basically
bit.
and you just launch at the guy and you try
Which
and kill
is a
each
pretty-
other. And the classic line, 2 men
It is
enter,
a pretty
1 man
memorable
leaves.
fight. I'll give it that.
Oh yeah.
To me, that's actually
It's my-
the best part of
yeah.
the movie, is
I
the fight
was-
in Thunderdome.
Well, it is called
That for me
Beyond
is the
Thunderdome.
highlight.
See, I actually wish that there was no Beyond Thunderdome. I wish it was just a whole
Just
movie
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Thunderdome fights.
That would be
I
pretty
think
sick.
that would have made it so much better.
Just Mad Max
Yeah.
Thunderdome.
Maybe if he like wins
Does have
that
a ring
fight, he
to it.
gets to go up to like a higher level or something. And there's like, yeah,
Like a
sort of like in
tournament.
a
Yeah.
game of death or something. That would have been pretty awesome.
So he fights Master Blaster, and he's fighting. Well, he fights Blaster,
Yeah,
I should say in
Master.
particular, because
He's
Master
the
is
little
just a
dude
little
that
dude,
controls him.
and
Sort of like
yes,
Quato.
and he fights him. He got the one thing that fell off his carriage in the intro was a high frequency whistle, like a dog whistle. Presumably for his camels, so he picked that up when he was walking to Bartertown. He still has it, and he discovered when he was like provoking Master Blaster to get into a fight with him in Thunderdome for Auntie that Blaster is really sensitive to high pitched noises. So eventually, he's fighting him,
Yeah.
and then he remembers, oh shit, the whistle. So then he uses it on him to gain the upper hand, and he knocks his helmet off, which is a completely enclosed helmet. Kind of reminds me of like BioShock, the Big Daddy.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought when I saw it.
And he knocks off his helmet, and it is revealed that he's just a big dude with Down syndrome. And then, as soon as discovering this, he's good guy Max, and so he's like, I didn't sign up for this shit. This dude is mentally disabled. I'm not gonna fight. I'm not gonna fight someone who's just a kid.
Part of the deal.
Mentally, basically.
He like reveals the deal.
So
that kind of fucks that.
Bust a deal,
he
face
fucks
the
up.
wheel. Auntie says. So he faces the wheel, lands on Gulag. I guess they blindfold him. Technically, they put like this sort of paper mache, like caricature helmet thing on him.
And then they take him.
But they basically blindfold him, put him on a horse, and send him out in the desert.
And then Stalin finds him.
Yeah. That would be a completely different.
The word gulag.
Mad Max in the winter.
The word gulag is like it really only has that one definition.
I mean,
yeah. Like I really don't understand what the meaning of calling this gulag.
I mean, either. Maybe it's like the actual like Russian like definition of the word.
Maybe they actually did
Possibly,
send him to Russia, and we just don't know because it's the post-apocalypse.
Yeah. It wasn't Australia. It was actually Russia the whole time. Everyone just has an Australian accent for no reason. But
The Australians had to escape north.
Yeah. They send him out in the desert, and he is recovered by a tribe of kids that have kind of grown up in this wasteland. They vaguely know the history. They've tried to keep track of it, but they're just a bunch of kids, And they live in this little like ravine oasis type of deal with plants and fresh water and stuff. And they think that he is this pilot, which they found like a picture of Captain Walker, who was a passenger aircraft pilot before the apocalypse happened, and because he's like the spitting image of him apparently somehow. And so he's like, well, you kids are dumb. I'm not Captain Walker. But half of the tribe doesn't believe him, so they go out into the desert anyway to like, because they think they found a crashed airliner is the deal, like a 737 or something like that, and it's just buried in the sand. It looks really cool. That was a good set piece. And they think that as soon as they get Captain Walker there, he can just turn on the plane and they can fly to safety, but that's of course not the case. So then Max is like, okay, here's a different plan. We're gonna go to Bartertown and we're gonna just fuck shit up.
And he says that word for word.
So that's what roughly half the tribe does. They send all their best people, and the other half stay behind in the oasis. And before all this, Max kind of tells them about like what actually happened to the world, and there used to be cities and stuff like that, and they're all fascinated by that. So he's like, well, let's go to Bartertown. So they do, where Master is being held prison, because that was, of course, the whole goal of Auntie hiring Max to kill Blaster. It was because Master kind of runs the deal. He runs Underworld, which is the pigs produce methane, and methane powers Bartertown. So he was kind of actually the ruler of Bartertown, and he didn't like that. So he's being held prison there. They bust him out, and then it's like a high-flying chase scene. They escape on a train, which was held stationary.
It's a car that's modified
Is it a
to
car that's
go.
modified into a train?
I'm pretty sure it's a car that's modified
That would
to
make
run on
sense.
train tracks.
Yeah.
It's because I think it was like a truck or something because there were pedals on the ground that they used
Yes.
to get it moving.
Yeah. Well, very well. So they have this truck which is converted into a train. They escape on that, and Auntie and her goons give chase, which is the only vehicle chase in the movie, which is probably part of why people are not so hot on Thunderdome, is because it's a Mad Max movie that is mostly without vehicles. So that's definitely part of the equation, I think. So then there's this big old chase. Wouldn't be a Mad Max movie without a vehicle chase. And they get it going, and they get to the end of the track, and then just by chance they discover the dwelling of the pilot from the beginning. And Max basically says, I know you stole my shit, but this is your one chance to get out with your life. And so they load everyone on the plane, and they drive towards the oncoming vehicles, hoping that they can get up enough speed to get airborne before they arrive. But there's too much weight, so Max has to sacrifice himself once again and jump out of the plane so that there's low enough weight so that they can get airborne. And then Max is left there, and Auntie goes up to him, and she's basically like, "That was a hell of a fight, soldier," and just leaves him. And then that is yet another Mad Max film where Max is just left in the middle of the desert with nothing to his name.
Yep.
And that's Beyond Thunderdome. And
It was a rather weird movie.
It was, yes. Much more whimsical, adventurous than the other Mad Max films.
I don't know Nick's thoughts on this one, but I'm not really a fan of this one. If that isn't obvious.
I enjoyed the first part, like up until the end of the Thunderdome fight, and then I enjoyed it after the car chase started at the end. But the whole middle part with the children, I don't really care for, except for one scene where he takes their homemade spear that was made out of an old gun and fires it.
I thought it was just a staff. But yeah, that is a badass part. And you think about like the circumstances of that situation. These kids don't know what guns are. They didn't know that was a gun. They just thought it was a weird stick with metal in it. And then he just like they have like bullets hanging from like a wind chime, kind of like charms. And he just rips a bullet off of this like charm, loads it in, and just bam, and it like blows all their minds. It's a really, really cool scene.
Yeah.
I find some of the beginning scenes interesting, especially the Thunderdome fight, but for me it runs out of steam once they lead him out into the desert and just leave him there.
Yeah.
I find...
Well, I thought it was pretty good. But it is definitely, I feel like you can't approach this one with the same expectations as the other three Mad Max films.
Yeah.
It's more its own thing than the other three, to be sure.
It does.
To me, it
Mad Max movie.
Like I mentioned earlier, it was originally just a completely different movie that got changed to Mad Max after they cast Mel Gibson. I think it definitely shows.
Definitely.
Yep.
And I do think that a better route would be to make it just a whole lot of Thunderdome fights.
Yes.
Like maybe have them go through 3 or 4. Because, there's no car chases, which is a pretty big thing in Mad Max, even in the first one.
Car chase they have in
But
that
even
isn't
without
as
that...
good as the chases in the first two.
Yeah.
Or the ones in Fury Road.
But even without, car chases, if it was action in the Thunderdome, I feel like it would still fit the Mad Max world, especially with the different designs they could use for Max's different opponents.
Because Master Blaster's an interesting design, how it's like one guy on top of another guy.
I would have loved to see more Thunderdome participants and just how strange they looked and how they would have fought.
Oh yeah.
So to me, it just feels kind of like wasted potential.
Yes.
Yeah. It has, it kind of takes this weird tone, too, that I'm not really a fan of. You know, especially considering, like, how, like, the other ones are much grittier and, like, you actually feel like you're stuck out in the wasteland. This one being, like, really, like, whimsical and more slapsticky just doesn't work for me.
Yes.
Mm.
Well, all right. So my opinion on the movie, I like it for my own personal reasons, and most people don't have it. Like the reason I like the scene with the kids at the like ravine oasis so much is because like I don't know, I have a thing for like in apocalyptic movies when someone before the apocalypse like who like knows how the world actually was tells people who never experienced the old world like how stuff was. Like I love that stuff. I don't know why, but that's why I like that part. Thunderdome fight is good. Of course, we're all sad when the intro comes in, and we remember that the interceptor got destroyed. So you know he no longer has like his car. Which George Miller did have something interesting to say about that. Of course, in the last episode we talked about how the Mad Max movies are like modern westerns, like post-apocalyptic westerns, and in each western the cowboy has his favorite horse, know. And in the Mad Max movies, Mad Max's horse is his interceptor.
Yeah.
It's part of his image. It's part of who he is. So without it, it does feel a little bit hollow in that aspect. But
when in the timeline does this movie take place?
This is 10 years after Mad Max, 15 years after Mad Max, 10 years after The Road Warrior.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it does show, like, Mel Gibson has way longer hair.
Yeah,
at
the
this
beginning.
I was surprised, because he was only, like, 38, 39 when he made this, but he looks older.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, I think I mentioned this in the last one, but there was a scene that was cut from this movie where Max has a nightmare about, his wife and his son getting killed, where he realizes that he's becoming more and more like the motorcycle gang that killed his family.
If they had...
I still think that would have been an interesting scene to have in the movie.
Yes.
I think they should have explored some of that. That would have been interesting.
You might cut out what you say.
I think they should have explored some more of that because that would have been really interesting.
Yeah, especially to connect it back to the first one.
Yeah.
Which just isn't mentioned after the first one.
It's sort of mentioned in the
pretty
intro
much,
of the second one.
Well, there are a few clips of it in the intro to The Road Warrior, but that's about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, they should have. Given that this was not supposed to originally be a Mad Max movie, they probably could have included more stuff, which at least ties it into the other films.
Yeah.
Definitely. Bartertown was cool.
Yeah.
You get a lot of interesting characters in Bartertown. I like the guy who's like the receptionist,
And
he's like this big old British guy, and he's like. I don't
And
even
also,
remember
this
what I
is
was
the
gonna
first time in the series you see people trying to kind of build their own society,
say.
Yeah.
which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, speaking of interesting characters, I also like the merchant at the beginning that's trying to sell radioactive water to people.
Yes, Max just pulls out a Geiger counter out of his pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's a little radiation, eh? And I suppose, in The Road Warrior, it's not incredibly clear that nukes were dropped. I guess they say it in the opening narration, but if there was any doubt, then definitely the radioactive water is the tip.
Yeah. And these were made during the Cold War, so of course that's gonna be in there.
Mm-hmm.
So there is another callback to the Road Warrior in this movie. When Max is turning in all the weapons at Bartertown, he has a wrist crossbow that he gives him, which was a weapon that Wes from the Road Warrior was using.
I never caught that. That's very clever.
Really?
That would make sense. Yeah, because
Yeah.
like his body would just be right there. I mean, assuming it didn't get destroyed from getting rammed into a semi. But yeah, that's a very good detail.
I'm curious what you guys thought of Tina Turner's performance in this.
It was interesting.
She was okay, I think.
I'm indifferent. I don't really
Did the
know.
role well enough.
Yeah, she kind of acted over the top at points, but I feel like that's just what you do in a Mad Max film.
Yeah, and it was kind of the reality TV
To me,
Yeah.
element of
I mean, it's a
Bartertown.
little bit distracting, because I do know some of her songs and stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't really know what to think of it.
Oh, and here's another thing. Very interesting that Tina Turner having just a standard American accent is just in Australia.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of the mystery of her character is how did she
Yeah.
get there?
that was another thing.
But
This one,
it is interesting.
I don't know if you guys feel this, but this one felt less Australian than the first two did. I don't know if you guys think that or not.
Your mic kind of cut out
This one
there.
just felt like less Australian than the first two. Maybe
Yeah.
A little bit.
Maybe the addition of
Yeah, I can
Tina
see that.
Turner kind of contributed to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I guess was kind
Yeah,
of
a little bit less Australian.
Well,
Alien
apparently this was also the first film to be funded by. Let me see. Yeah, this is the first film to be made with U.S. financing, so that might have a bit of a role in it.
Definitely.
What'd you say? It had American financing?
Yeah.
Okay. It's probably the mics keep fucking cutting out. So.
But that is, I guess, yeah, it was a little bit more American, just based on how it was made.
I also
of course.
am wondering how much of the weird tone, came from the fact it was directed by two people.
Yeah,
So I don't
that
know
could
if that
definitely be part
contributed
of
some to that, or just the fact it was written differently.
Yes.
Maybe.
Any more thoughts?
I mean, I do like the cinematography. I like the set design, all the technical stuff, basically. But for me, the story just I just wasn't really engaged during the second half.
That's fair.
There's just those movies where there's things in them that I like, but as a whole, it doesn't exactly work. Bram Stoker's Dracula is an example.
Mm-hmm.
Where I really like some of the performances in it, and the visuals are great, but then there's just some really terrible performances, and they took a lot of liberties with the source material and shit. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But all in all, not a bad film at all.
Oh, hold on. I just read something kind of interesting that I would like to share.
What's that?
So when the fight's about to begin inside Thunderdome, Dr. Dealgood says that I don't worry about you guys breaking the rules because there are no rules.
Mm-hmm.
But there is actually one rule. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves, which Max proceeds to break
Yeah,
by not killing Blaster.
absolutely.
Oh, and also, I don't know if we mentioned, this is the only Mad Max film with a PG-13 rating.
Yeah.
That would definitely be an element of, well, I guess it's a chicken or the egg situation, was it made PG-13 just because it wasn't that violent, or was it made not that violent because it was intended to be rated PG-13?
I don't know.
Yeah.
And also,
But no, not nearly as gruesome as The Road Warrior.
Also, it's clearly an 80s film. Yeah.
Well, of course.
The soundtrack.
What was it,
and
80...
even some of the
87?
85.
85?
Same
Dang.
year as Back to the Future.
Same year as what?
Back to the Future
Back to the
in
Future.
Brazil.
That kind of gives you some context on the how old the Mad Max series actually
Yeah.
is.
That it
You know,
took-
like
Because
everyone,
the first one came out in 79, right?
79, then Road Warrior 2 years later, and then the third one came around by the time Back to the Future 1 came out.
And then it
Yeah.
took them 30
It's
years
old.
to
We
make
didn't-
another one.
Then we didn't get another one until 2015.
2015, yeah.
30
years later.
30 years, yeah.
And it was good.
I also read somewhere that the movie was like filmed under the working title Desert World. You know, to like keep
Yeah,
it-
I heard it was. I heard it was they used that name kind of like how episode 6 used the name Blue Harvest,
Yeah.
just to throw off people.
Which makes me wonder, did Waterworld take inspiration from that?
Well, it did kind of. I suppose it does have kind of a. It's shot in a way reminiscent of Waterworld, and the aesthetic
I was
is
talk-
like
Yeah.
it does have a similar aesthetic
I
to
was-
like if Waterworld were Land World, you know.
You missed the point. I was just saying, like, just because the titles are similar. Yeah.
Well-
'Cause no shit, it's a Mad Max ripoff.
Yeah, yeah. But with water.
I also heard they considered killing off
Your mic cut
Max
out at
in
that
this
moment, so
one.
I just. There I
I
go,
heard-
assuming thing.
I heard they considered considered killing off Max in this one.
Yeah,
I don't know how exactly, but that
Yeah.
definitely would have changed quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, I believe George Miller always intended there to be 4 Mad Maxes. Or,
But-
no, maybe that's not true, but I mean,
Yeah.
eventually he got to making the 4th one, which was supposed to be the final one, but then, you know,
and now we got 2 more on the way.
Oh my
which
god.
which is not a bad thing,
Yeah.
of course.
I am actually interested to see where the series goes after the next
I'm
few,
afraid
It is a
of
very-
because he really can't just make 2 more pure car chase movies,
no.
because then that's just remaking Fury Road again and again.
Yeah.
Which people say Fury Road was already a remake of the Road Warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say remake,
Yeah,
but
I
it's,
bet some
it's
people
definitely
said
the
it
closest.
was. Some people said
But hey, I would be down for a do-over of Thunderdome, though.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah,
Return to
yeah.
Thunderdome.
I wouldn't mind.
Return to Thunder.
I wouldn't mind seeing more of Bartertown and stuff like that,
Oh, yeah.
or more of the Thunderdome itself.
Mhm.
You know.
That is true. They don't actually destroy Bartertown. They just they cause a bit of chaos, but everyone's still
Yeah.
there.
Or maybe they'll go like a direction of, like they try to set up some kind of like government or something, and it fails miserably.
Yeah. yeah.
That might be
Oh.
interesting.
Here's another detail, which I just now realized. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome is the only only film in the series where the main antagonist does not die.
I was confused.
True.
I was confused about it. She just like lets him go
Yep.
and just leaves. Like, why?
Put up a good fight,
that
I
doesn't
suppose.
that doesn't make sense.
Well, he had nothing left. I mean, what is she
Yeah.
gonna do? Like,
I don't know.
enslave
I mean,
him or
basically-
punish him or what?
I mean, basically by leaving him there, it's just continuing the gulag sentence when you think
guess.
about it.
Yep.
But
Yep.
why the hell is it called a gulag sentence? Fucking hell.
You see, I went and looked it up. That there's no connection.
There's no connection at
There
all.
there is no connection besides someone just going, "Hey, I like the word. Let's use it."
Does he even know what a fucking gulag is?
Well, we'll just have to ask George Miller and solve
I
this
guess.
case once and for all.
guess.
Is that how he came up with a Tomorrowland? Is he like
Tomorrow,
he
Morrowland.
misheard Tomorrowland or something?
Yeah. Anything
Oh,
else?
okay. Yeah, real quick, back on the topic of the film's rating. Never mind. I'm looking at the wrong page.
What? Oh my god.
I was about to read a Fury Road fact and pretend it was a Thunderdome fact.
We are professionals here at the
Speaking of-
Fuckertons podcast.
Speaking of Fury Road, the no, I'm just kidding. I was gonna pull something from my Fury Road notes.
We're gonna review the whole movie in 2 minutes. Go.
Let's see.
Big car chase, go fast, boom.
Boom. That's basically it. There you go. There's a whole
They,
synopsis.
Yeah,
It's like Road Warrior with guns.
it's a more violent version of Ernest Rides Again.
I need to see that movie now.
Which one? Ernest Rides Again.
Yes.
Oh.
Well, the Mad Maxified version.
Fury
'Cause
Road.
basically-
It's like Mad Max with plot.
Yeah, just
Because basically, like, the last half of Ernest Rides Again is just a car chase.
Yeah.
Except he's on, like, a cannon or something.
yeah.
Fury Road. It's like Mad Max with plot. It's like Road Warrior with guns. It's like Thunderdome with cars.
Thunderdome with cars.
Yeah.
That's a, yeah.
But,
But
yeah,
we
I
can't
think
get
that's
into Fury Road just yet.
yeah, and I think that's all I have to say on Thunderdome.
Yeah, I don't got much interesting to say. But,
I
although
agree.
I do have some, if you took the title of Beyond Thunderdome and combined it with other titles,
What's that?
like Mad Max to Infinity and Beyond Thunderdome,
Thunderdome.
Mad Max Beyond Under the Dome,
Beyond Underdome.
Under the dome.
Mad Max from Beyond Thunderdome,
Oh, yeah.
Mad Max
Mad Max Beyond.
Beyond.
I fucking hate it. Oh my god.
Beyond Bioshock.
Mad Max Beyond the Valley of the Dolls.
Yeah.
Mad Max The Place Beyond the Pines. Mad Max Beyond the Poseidon Adventure. Mad Max Battle Beyond the Stars. Mad Max Beyond a Reasonable Doubt.
Beyond a reasonable doubt.
It's a lawyer drama involving Mad Max.
Like this one, Mad Max Beyond Suspicion. Mad Max Beyond Good and Evil.
Beyond good and evil.
Mad Max Beyond the Forest. Or, Mad Max Beyond the Law.
Beyond the law. I am the law.
Mad Max Beyond the Sea. Or he meets Bobby Darin or something. Mad Max The Terror from Beyond Space.
The terror from beyond Thunderdome.
Mad Max Beyond the Grave.
Zombie Mad. Oh, maybe that's where the next movie is going.
That would actually be sick, like zombie.
he has to
apocalypse
fight off.
movie.
He has to fight off zombie toe cutter.
Yeah.
That way they can bring him back to be the antagonist for a third Mad Max movie.
I just remembered something very important, which I just want to tell the viewers of this lovely fuck podcast. There is a festival known as Wasteland Weekend, which takes place in September of every year in the Mojave Desert in California, just outside California City, and it is basically Bartertown. And you you build your like own wastelandy vehicles, and you come in and you like dress up as if you're in the wasteland, and there's There's like bartering with bottle caps, and there's food and drink and entertainment, and there is a Thunderdome which you can actually fight in.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's just and it lasts a week, and it is just immensely cool.
Yeah.
And last year actually was the 10th anniversary. It's been going since 2009. So if you have the time, just give it a look up. There are some videos around the internet. Wasteland Weekend. It's very cool.
I think I had one more. It was Mad Max.
You cut out.
Your
Exactly.
mic cut out. So all we heard was all the title was Mad Max.
Oh, god damn it. It was okay. It was Mad Max Beyond the Pale.
Yeah.
Which I guess is if he ever wanted to team up with Jim Gaffigan or something.
Starring Mel Gibson and Jim Gaffigan. Mad Max Beyond the Pale. Thunderdome. Biodome.
God
Underdome.
damn. That'd be so funny. Just Jim Gaffigan's like performing a stand-up show in Bartertown.
Yeah.
And then Max shows up.
Could have been the announcer.
That's funny.
Was that it?
Yep.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Films Under Constant Critique podcast, and we will see you in the next exciting episode. Until then.
Adios.
Yeah. Goodbye.